Welcome into the Sunbelt Syndicate. Another exciting show for you tonight as we welcome in the guys from the App State baseball team. Before we get going too fast, we want to shout out to our sponsors real quick. Affiliate links below: Dubby Energy, Fanplex Graphics, TSN Off Road, and Dano's Seasoning. So thank you to them for being a part of the show, and definitely want to shout out Caleb, Kermit, and Braxton for jumping on and spending some time with us tonight. Outside the comfort of, inside the comfort of the interior of their homes or apartments, as they might be, with the chilly weather that you guys typically have. Although, Braxton, you were saying it wasn't that bad up there today, right?
Yeah, it was about 40, so better up here.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, Coach, we'll get started off with you. Give us a kind of an overview, what your expectations are for the season in any one particular area, or just an overall broad picture here of what you may be looking at as App State is about to kick off the baseball season here come next week.
Well, first, just thank you guys for, number one, having us on. Number two, just how you promote our league. Obviously, you guys know better than anybody the caliber of this league, and obviously the opponents that we have an opportunity to play not only within our league, but regionally. We're in a very good region. So, you know, we don't really get much into expectations aside from, you know, just giving our best every day. And I think just kind of alluding to the first part of this conversation was how good our league is and how good we are in terms of our regional baseball. We have the opportunity to travel within 2 hours and play a ton of top 100 RPI teams, which gives us a great opportunity for our own postseason aspirations. But no, we're just kind of in the moment, want to give our best every day. Kind of the way we say it, as you know, is TIGMA, which is today I give my all for Appalachian. And we're kind of in that moment. We don't talk a whole lot about what we're going to accomplish or what we're going to do. We just worry about us, and we worry about the work that we've got to do each and every day. Very
nice. Braxton, Caleb, either one of you got something specific you're expecting maybe from yourself specifically for this season coming up?
After 2 years, tough losses in the conference tournament, 1 game away, 2 games away from conference championship game, I think the depth that we have, I think that's our goals as of right now. And especially I'm coming back from injury, me and Braxton both in our last year. I think our goal is to make it to that game, and obviously we want to try and win that and get to a regional.
Braxton?
Yeah, for sure. I think Caleb hit the nail on the head there. Just had some tough losses late year, and just want to get over those and go to the regional and give it our all.
Nice. Very nice. Marv?
For you, how difficult is it after playing a couple years to have an injury and have to, you know, sit out a season, rehab, watch the guys that, you know, you've bonded with over the past couple years play, and you're having to, you know, do the right thing in rehab? How hard was that?
It's obviously tough, but I think you're able to really grow as a person and realize just who you are without baseball, because obviously you're around it every day and able to watch those guys go compete. And obviously I would have loved to have been out there last year and been able to see what we could have done. But the year rehabbing with the support staff we have, I think it was a great opportunity just to try to better myself, baseball as a person, through all of that. And I think it was been very beneficial.
Awesome. Question we always like to ask: in the Sun Belt, what is your favorite away venue to play at? And then if you've got one that you're really looking forward to playing at this season that's not in the Sun Belt, feel free to mention that too. And Coach, we'll start with you. Your favorite away venue in conference?
There's a lot of good ones. You know, I enjoy the different aspects of our league. Not only is it high quality baseball, but it's, you know, great areas, great facilities. You know, I think anytime that, you know, you get that first trip to Louisiana, I think that you have that, you know, the cooking club, I think it's the Cajun Cooking Club over there. And, you know, it's not just the stadium and it's not just the opponent. It's, you know, the atmosphere and, you know, the culture. You can feel it, the fan base, the servanthood, you know, you can tell that they care a lot about Raging Cajun baseball, but they welcome you as the opponent. So I think that's probably the one that stands out the most. But, you know, we're very fortunate to be in a league that, just provides those facilities, provides those staffing, the level of baseball that we get to play at each weekend. We're very fortunate to get to do that. I've got a few that I'm looking forward to going to this year. It's always good to get cranked up next week and get going. We're very fortunate to almost have 2 home fields in Hickory, North Carolina, at the Crawdad Stadium and Jim and Betty Smith Stadium here in Boone. So we'll be down in Hickory next weekend opening up, and I always look forward to that. We have a campus down there that we opened recently, so it's almost a home away from home, quite honestly. So even though that's kind of a home venue, I do enjoy going there. It's great hospitality, and they do a good job for us. So I guess I'll cop out on that answer and say that I'm looking forward to traveling to our home game.
There you go. That's a great answer. And just so you know, we've had several guests say that the Cajun Cooking Club is they feed you very well. I think someone said they give you hell during the game and feed you well after it.
Yeah, it's a very good way to put it. We've been fortunate. We've won the weekend the last 2 times that we've been there. And as you're walking out there, each fan is literally saying congratulations. And, obviously that started, a while back. With Coach Robichaux and has continued on with Coach Deggs, and just culturally they just there's a good vibe there. But they're good people. They love baseball. They'll light you up during the game, and I've heard some good one-liners from the stands there. But after the game, they're cordial baseball people that can look at you and say, "Hey, good job," and you got to appreciate that too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Braxton and Caleb, how about you guys? What's your favorite away venue?
I think for me it's the same. I think Louisiana, it's a fun place to go, and yeah, they'll wear you out during the game, but they feed you well, and they'll all be willing to shake your hand right after the game and tell you did good, and it's just a real fun place to go.
That's awesome.
Obviously don't want to say the same answer, but I'm gonna have to. I think it's just crazy environment. Everybody's yelling at you. They're right on top of you, and then as soon as it's over, they're congratulating you, talking to you like you're their best friend.
I think that solidifies, guys. We got to get down to Lafayette and watch again.
Yeah, for sure. Digging into the season a little bit, guys. Talking about midweeks and non-conference. We know, every year we've got Wake on the schedule, got Duke on the schedule with Coach Pollard. What's some midweeks and non-conference games that we're looking forward to this year?
Well, number one, kind of back to that opening statement, was we have the opportunity to play a lot of teams in our league that are obviously very good opponents, and then we have a lot of teams regionally that we get to play that are at minimum top 100 RPI, a lot of them top 50, top 30 RPI. You referenced a couple of them there, and the things that we want to accomplish in this program, those guys just got through talking about it. From a standpoint of an automatic bid by winning the league. There's also another way, which is an at-large bid. So that always plays into your scheduling, at least from my philosophy. We've got some humongous midweek games. If our roster right now isn't excited about every one of them, then they're probably at the wrong place, because if we go take care of our business in the midweeks, and continue to solidify ourselves as one of the top teams in the Sun Belt, we won't necessarily, not to say we're not going to go to Montgomery to try to win it, but we wouldn't be in a position where we had to win it to get a regional bid. There's a lot of work goes into scheduling. The midweeks, obviously Charlotte's on there again, and Wake and Duke and some of those. But I think the entire midweek slate is very, very important if we want to go accomplish this thing.
Oh, I got some guy as well knocking in the background. So let me see if I can let him in the door here. A little surprise for you guys.
Man.
All right, my internet's going a little fuzzy at the house, so I might have to.
Bang! From the top rope. What are we doing?
Oh, man. What are you doing?
Can't get rid of this
I
guy,
didn't hear
Coach.
jack from either of you about some games coming up.
What's going on?
What are we doing?
I just answered it. I had a good answer.
Oh,
No
man.
chime from the peanut gallery. It's okay.
Did you just wake up from your nap or what?
No, I actually haven't been to sleep since probably like 5 days ago.
Nice.
Too many Red Bulls, bro.
Too many.
Braxton or Caleb, you guys got a specific midweek game that you guys are looking forward to playing?
I mean, obviously those Wake Forest games and Duke games are always fun, always good RPI boosters and everything, but I don't think we can look past the Queens opening weekend, Gardner-Webb's, anything like that, because you got to win those games to be able to try to get that at large that you're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. I like just take it a day at a time. The next game on the schedule is the most important one. So
Very nice. Austin, what game are you looking forward to seeing these guys play in? The first one, or you got one circled somewhere else?
Oh, opening day.
Opening day.
Game 1. Can't look at the next ones until you get the first one.
It's true. And I know that you were a big fan. You said you liked that LP Franz Stadium down there in Hickory. Is that's shared between all of you guys? Is that one of your favorite places to play because it's kind of like a bigger ballpark, but not too far from home type of thing?
oh yeah, beautiful surface. It's awesome.
Funny story about what the answer that Saint just gave, and he may or may not remember this, but, I think a lot of people say it, and I don't know that everybody means it, but as I started coaching him throughout his first fall here, we got kind of towards the end of the fall, and, traditionally you do like an end of the fall meeting or what have you, and then you have another meeting going into the spring where you're kind of talking to guys about roles, this, that, and the other. And, one of his goals at the end of the fall, obviously he had great aspirations professionally and to be a great player and everything else. But one of his goals was, he said, I just want to get on the field. I just want to get this thing started. I want to play one inning of one game, and then I just want to go. And so we walked back in, and after we got beat by Campbell, game 1, and it was a good perspective for me, because I think the coach always gives the you lose game 1, you still got a chance to go 55-1. Like there's no reason to overthink it. We had a great weekend. We won 2 out of 3 at Campbell, but I went in and I sat down in the lobby. I was just waiting on the food to get there so I could feed the team. And I look up. I'm looking out at my phone to see if the order's going to be there, and I look up and he's standing there with his hand out, and he just said, "Thanks for the opportunity." And obviously I wasn't just thinking about his end of the fall meeting at the end of losing game 1, but it took me a second, and as I shook his hand, I thought to myself, wow, like he was genuine on that, right? Like he wanted to get on the field, and obviously redshirted his freshman year, and got to us, and competed and continued to become a great player, and I thought got better every single year. But I think that answer that he just gave is very genuine, and I think it speaks to all of us. I think Braxton could say it in his own way, and I think Caleb could say it in its own way. Like we're looking forward to just throwing that first pitch next Friday night. Like it really is. It's like Caleb said, it's not about Wake Forest, it's not about Charlotte, it's not about Gardner-Webb, it's not about Queens. It's just we just want to play, and we just want to make the most of that moment. And I think Saint was a big part of that. I really do. Not that the messaging doesn't always try to come from me, but unless it's permeated through the players, it's only going to go so far. And I'll never forget that handshake, and what made me think back to his end of the fall meeting, his first year with us. And you never really know if somebody's just saying that or not. And then all of a sudden, here you go. He gets his first game. He walks in, shakes my hand, and we go out and won 2 out of 3 at Campbell, which not many people have gone into Campbell and won 2 out of 3 the last few years. And I just thought that said a lot about him. But I don't think that's just an answer to give you an answer. Like he's jacked for opening day, because that's who we are. That's our identity. And after opening day, we're going to be jacked up for game 2. And that's literally the definition of Tigma is today I give my all. And I just think that's a great answer, but I think it deserves a little bit more than just the way he said it, because that's genuine. That's real. That's who we are. We're going to wake up right now. We should be fired up for tomorrow's practice. And I think that we are.
Now, I asked the guys before you got on, I said, how excited are you for next Friday? And Caleb said, I think a little bit too excited. They're ready.
Yeah. So, we saw Austin bring the football helmet to the dugout last year and do this celebration. Braxton, Caleb, is that torch been passed to one of two of you, or is that something Austin takes with him when he leaves, and you guys are going to come up with something different this year?
I've heard we have a surprise.
Okay.
We got a surprise.
Nice. Are one of the two of you in charge of this surprise, or is this something you guys don't even know?
No idea.
We have no clue.
Yeah, I don't either. So if you're waiting on me, I don't know what it is either. Some of that stuff that goes on that's really cool doesn't have anything to do with me. So I'm not even aware of this secret here.
It's the first game Austin's going to show up in a panda suit, I think is what it is.
That might not be the surprise, but that might actually happen. Or else it's what's the Bucky's outfit? His the Beaver outfit. Yeah, I could see that happening too.
Might have to break it up.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a callback to our fans who watched the show last year. As Austin's favorite road meal was the Panda Express. Yeah, for those that remember that, I think Marv, you got another question here to go off of, right?
Yeah, and this is specific for you, Coach. Kind of given today's environment in college athletics, when you're recruiting a kid. Does the transfer portal and kids that are maybe coming out of JUCO that have a little experience, maybe a little bit game ready, does that impact the way that you recruit high school kids, knowing that it might take a year or two to get their body developed, get them the experience to come in and make a difference in your program? Or are you truly just looking for a guy that's the right fit?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Number one, I think whichever route we go, it doesn't change from our end from a standpoint of how we try to tell our story. We're going to be 100% transparent with every guy that we recruit, not only from a standpoint of what our current roster situation is, but also the values that we have in our program, and the everything that we just talked about, giving our all each and every day. I think for us, what the portal has given us the opportunity to do is go through an entire season and see where our deficiencies might be at the end of a year. And if we do feel like we have deficiencies somewhere, maybe somebody's not developing quick enough, or somebody didn't produce the way that we thought that they could, then we have the opportunity to go out and find a specific position. And I don't know if you have another question on the tails of that question, but if you're keeping track, we're doing a pretty good job of that. And I'm not saying that from a bragging standpoint. What I'm saying is the ones that we have identified, they've done really, really well. And it's not that we do as much as people think that we do. We really don't do as much in the portal as I think that there's this perception that we do. We're very balanced in what we do. The first year of the portal, which was the summer of 21, we got 5 high school kids, 5 junior college kids, and 5 portal kids. The next year, 22, we got 5 high school kids, 5 portal kids, and 5 junior college kids. This past year, we actually got 7 high school kids, and about a balance between about 6 or 7 portal and JUCO kids combined. But the ones that we go after, we're very specific to, number one, their position, number 2, their skill set, obviously, and number 3 is we just want that to be a fit in all of those areas, right? If we don't have a need for that position, and if they don't fit the way that we do it from a physical standpoint, then we just don't recruit them. And I'd like to say that for every guy in our program, but and I think one of the calling cards for us, and you're probably picking up on this just listening to Saint, listening to Braxton, and listening to Caleb, is we just want a passionate guy. We just want a guy that's going to come in and love the game of baseball. Because if you don't, and we say this to every recruit, if you don't freaking love it, you'll hate it here, because we love what we do. And that I'm not trying to make us sound different than anyone else. All I'm saying is the people that we go recruit, the people that we choose to go after, we want those people to fit. And we want them to fit positionally. We want them to fit culturally, and we want them to fit physically. And we're going to give them absolutely everything that we have.
Awesome. Thank you.
Talking about the league just a little bit, can you talk about just how competitive this league is compared to some of the other bigger conferences, and how the sunbelt will stack up against some of the bigger teams in the conference, or some of the other conferences such as the ACC SEC, things like that?
Yeah, if you look at the RPI, I'm fortunate to be on the regional advisory committee, so I get to see a lot of the metrics from across the country as we get later into each season, and the teams that are battling. Look at Coastal last year; they finished 7th in our league and get an at-large bid. So I think that when you look at the balance across, if you look at, if I'm not mistaken, and you can check me on this, but I think the last 2 conference tournaments that all 10 teams, the entire conference tournament field, has all been top 100 RPI teams. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, there's only 2 other leagues in the entire country that do that. 2 years ago, there may have been 3 with the Pac-12, but I don't think that they were. I think there was a couple of teams at the bottom that weren't top 100 RPI. I could be wrong on that. But I know for a fact this past year there was only 3 conference tournaments in the entire country that the entire field was top 100 RPIs. So I think when you look at that and you start talking about 30 Division I conferences across the country, and you're talking about being a top 5 league for the last 5 years, and now that the Pac-12's gone, top 4 league. It is what it is. Is it the ACC? Is it the SEC? That's not what I'm here to argue. I'm just here to say that there's 30 Division I conferences, and we're in the top 4. You can do the rest of the math on that. Like we've gotten 4 at-large teams or 4 teams in a regional last 2 years. I think 3 teams 3 years ago, and I think it's only going to get more. As the conference realignment was going on, I don't know that we could have foreseen what transpired. I don't know that we could have truly seen this merge of all these teams. You talk about adding Old Dominion, adding Marshall, adding James Madison, adding Southern Miss. And when you start really diving into that, there's not a weekend. You go down to Montgomery in late May. You're watching some good freaking baseball, and, weekend in, weekend out. Kind of back to your original question is what's the favorite place we go? Quite honestly, every weekend you walk out, you're going to get quality umpiring, you're going to get quality coaching, you're going to get quality players, you're going to be in quality facilities, and you're going to have a quality fan base at about every place that you go. So I think just from a strength of the league standpoint, the numbers speak for themselves. And again, I don't know that it's a comparison of the conferences that you mentioned there. I think it's more of just the numbers are the numbers. Right. You look at the drafts, you look at the at-large bids, you look at the regional teams, you look at the regional success. Am I wrong in saying that all 4 teams that got a bid last year went to their respective regional finals? So if you're doing the math on that, you're maybe asking yourself, should there have been a couple of other teams that were considered for an at-large? If those the only 4 teams that got in all went to the regional final, then should we have had more in? I think that you can start looking at the success on that. Now, I know at some point we've got to push a super and push Omaha, but we've been right there. Texas State a few years ago out at Stanford, and a few in there. It's I think the league speaks for itself.
Piggybacking off that, Coach, this is our second year doing this podcast, and we just started learning about RPI last year, and we were a little bit confused at how JMU was able to get in last year. Can you talk about RPI just for a few minutes and let us, I know we followed the schedule all year, and we know they had 1 win against Arkansas, but we tried to figure out what metrics led up to certain teams getting in when, like you were talking about Coastal being 7th or whatever it was in the conference and they got in. What are we looking at there when we're looking at RPI? Yeah,
well, number one, you're looking at the schedule. I try to keep it simple and just go win, right? If we take our current schedule, so I'll get simple and then I'll get a little bit more difficult. But if you just looked at our current schedule, if we found our way to 40 wins, then we would have an opportunity to be an at-large team. I think it would be a slam dunk, quite honestly. And if I really dove into it, which I haven't really yet, I've obviously dove into the schedule. I made it, but I haven't really dove into what what win number would get us there. I mean, you might even be talking like a 38 win mark to have an RPI that's conducive with that. I mean, you look at us last year. I referenced to our team that we were about 3 wins away from being in a top 64 RPI ourselves. So you look at, I think we finished the year at 72, and you look at some games that happened. You look at the Coastal Carolina game at home, where we went into extras, had a chance to sweep them there. You look at the Georgia Southern game late in the year. If we find a way to get one of those, and if we got the Wake Forest game that we played down in Shelby that we lost 10-9, and I think we had a runner on second base in the 9th. So I tried to paint them a picture of saying, hey, we're 3 wins away from now. Even if we'd have been ranked 62 RPI, doesn't mean we get a not large bid. That's not what I'm saying, but it does put you in a perspective of, oh, okay, we're right there, right? So take what we currently did and win 3 more games. I got you, right? So that gives you a little perspective. But no, you got to look at a lot of the stuff Coastal did early. Losing to us at home, right, doesn't necessarily hurt them a ton, or at our place, it doesn't necessarily hurt them a ton because they're on the road, and we ended up being a really good RPI team. Some of the things that they were able to do late, JMU, for instance, that Arkansas series was huge, and then they swept us, right, which we ended up being a really good RPI team, and they got 3 wins against us. So those are really good quad 2 wins for them. So, those are two series. So the analogy that I've been given to our team, hey, say you're 3 wins away from having a chance for an at-large. JMU swept us, and then Coastal started out really, really well throughout the year. So I think that the easiest way to say it is once you've played an opponent, you want them to win every game. And that's really hard for a true fan base, right? So it's a little bit backwards. But you want your opponents to be good. And if you're on the road and you beat a team that's top 100 RPI, basically the quads are broken, 4 quads. Quad 1 is 1 to 50. Quad 2 is 51 to 100. Quad 3 is 100 to 200, and Quad 4 is all the way up from there, and to 300. So the closer you can be to a Quad 1 or 2, if you can be on the road and you can be successful on the road, then you are going to gain a lot of points throughout that. And I could dive into all the specifics of it, but that's probably the easiest Cliff Notes version that there is. And the quads will shift just win, but the quads aren't simple because it's not just a quad, because a quad can change if you're home or away. Gotcha. So it's if you can beat a good team on the road, that's very beneficial. But make a good schedule and win. And do well in the conference tournament, and you put yourself in a position. I hope I didn't muddy the water on that.
No,
but
that clears a lot of. We debate this topic every week, and finally, I think we're getting some answers that we needed.
Well, and I'll tell you this from a coach's perspective, I thought they were both deserving. So not only, even if it was confusing to the outside, okay, how does someone who's finishing 7th in a league and is playing in the play-in game of the conference tournament or the double elimination, how do they go get a regional bid at large? They were deserving of it. Their RPI was top 40. They played a really good schedule and they lost some games, but they played a really good schedule, and they won some games. And JMU obviously going down to Arkansas to start the year, taking one of, I think they played 4 that weekend, and then doing really well in the league. If you're finishing in the top 6 in our league, you're probably knocking on the door of something, and then you start diving into the out of conference, which you've already asked us this evening. You start diving into the out of conference. If teams are taking care of the business there, you're going to have a chance.
Caleb and Braxton, just kind of going back to the overall quality, just speak about the talent that you guys see on every weekend in this conference when you travel or have a team come in, just the quality of arms, the quality of defense, the quality of hitters that you guys see. I
think it's elite is what it is. I mean, every game, no matter if it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's a dogfight. You're just playing against a lot of really good competition and some pretty hostile environments, and it's just real fun to be a part of.
And I think Braxton obviously sees the arms more than I do, but I see the bats. And I think, as Coach Smith said, last however many years, top 5 in RPI. And I think you can really tell that the players in the league are meant to be in the top 5 in RPI. And we've played Wade, we've played Duke, but I think within the conference, there's guys that are just as good, maybe even better, that we just have to go out there and try to, obviously we're there too, but just compete like we can and we know we can and just give our all every day, basically.
You guys alluded to the fact, you really start the season down in Hickory, which isn't too far away from home, and you got the comfort of, a lot of fan base as you guys have the satellite campus down there in Hickory. But it is technically 8 on the road before you really play in your own home stadium. Is that, something that you actually kind of like to kind of get into a flow outside of the home venue, or would you kind of prefer, and obviously it's hard to do in Boone, but would you kind of prefer to have a couple at home really before you get going on the road? Braxton, let's start with you on that one.
I will say that when you go down to Hickory, it's still a home game, but you get, everybody in the hotel, you get everybody on the same schedule, and just everybody's together, and it keeps it more focused. And I think that's really good for us, and it helps a lot mentally locking people in.
Yeah, I think obviously we'd love to be at home, but Boone doesn't allow that very often. So, an hour away is not too far, and we treat it like a home game, obviously, but I think we do travel fans very well with the satellite campus and everything. But I think being on the road gives us, like Braxton said, this sense of being on schedule, getting together, just being able to grow together as we're not all going to our separate apartments, houses, whatever it is. We're all going back to the hotel, spend time together throughout the whole weekend, and being able to just really lock in.
Talk about life on the road with your brothers, with you, those are bonds that you'll never forget. What's it like on the weekends there with you guys?
Oh, it's electric. We have a lot of fun, pick fun with one another, and, we get to go into everybody's rooms and just hang out till curfew. And it's just really fun to just, really be around each other. We're around each other up here, but just when you're all away and you're just secluded and you're all together, just focusing on baseball, it's real fun.
Coach, you allude to the fact that you kind of put this schedule together. Is it a big benefit to you to have that kind of big, nice stadium just down the mountain from you guys down there in Hickory at the Crawdad Stadium?
You can't even put it into words. I'll be honest. One of the things that we try to do throughout the entire year, even on our flights, is we want our guys to be back in Boone by midnight. And if we can be back in Boone by midnight, there's just you just transition through the week so much better. I think both of our flight trips this year, we have to fly back on Monday morning because of the respective airports that we're going to. And that's not always ideal, but I do think it's probably better than getting in at 4 o'clock in the morning and trying to get the class that morning. And then you got a game on Tuesday and you're taking the day off because of, this, that, or the other. But if you look at our schedule, it's very dedicated to us to try to be back in Boone by midnight. College of Charleston that'll be tough to do when we go down there for a weekend set and that Sunday game getting back here by midnight. But if that's the one, we'll be okay. It's having Hickory it's an absolute game changer. They give us a clubhouse for the entire weekend. All the laundry facilities are right there. Great hotels in the town of Hickory. Again, we have a campus there. The fan base follows us really well down there, and it's just it's a great ballpark, great playing surface, and it's a minor league park, so all the amenities from that. But we feel like we're home when we're there. We really do. And the opposing team gets their own locker room as well. Both teams feel very equipped to walk out and compete in 3 games.
Nice. And I grew up in Hickory before I moved away. And obviously growing up, everything was natural grass. Is that facility all still natural grass down there as well?
It is, yeah, and the one they don't overseed, and because they don't start their season until the Bermuda starts coming back, and so I will say the one they painted it last year, and I thought it came out really good. But they do a good job for us. They really do. It's flat. It plays true. The mounds are in good shape, and it's a natural surface, which we haven't played a ton on since we have a turf field up here. But no, it's a great place. We'll get down there and get some pregame in and be ready to rock.
Nice. Caleb and Braxton, preference on natural versus artificial turf. I know that's it's kind of gone away because there are so many now. I mean, even Southern Miss, who's like, your more traditional program or whatever, also has a turf field as well. But is there one you guys prefer? Or do you kind of like going back and forth between the two? Caleb, we'll start with you.
As a pitcher, I've got to go turf because you kind of know what you're going to get. Dirt mound, you never know. Somebody digs out a hole, landing spot's not right, anything like that. But definitely turf.
I like it.
Yeah, I think just 4 years of playing on turf. I mean, it's always true. It's always is what it's going to be. But I do like playing on some natural surface. Ain't nothing better than seeing some nasty, filthy jerseys. But I got to go with turf.
Coach, you have a preference?
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm a family guy. So I spent, I guess, the first how many years? 16 years of my career taking care of a field, and also trying to be a family guy. So between edging and dragging and tamping and lines and everything else, we say practice is over, we pray, we go home, and I can get back here to my crew. So it's just not realistic to think that to even have another thought, just with family and living in Boone and those types of things. It's if you had the opportunity to play on ours every day, I think that even if you're a natural fan, you'd see the benefits of it. It's good on your body. It's from a standpoint of, the things that I still think about, which is laundry and keeping uniforms for multiple years, and the quality of baseballs that you're using and not having to throw out, and, how long your equipment lasts and everything else. A turf field, just budgetary wise, it just helps with everything. Your balls are going to last longer. Your equipment's going to last longer. Catching equipment's going to last longer. Uniforms are going to last longer. Cleats are going to last longer. But it plays well. Once you learn to slide on it, it's very safe. And like Caleb said, you're not pitching in somebody else's, drag spot or landing spot. And, as from a hitting perspective, you're not getting into an uneven box. And I will say the natural fields in our league take very good care of it. I don't think that it's ever like this huge hole that we're dealing with, but yeah, I would go turf.
Nice. I never thought about the aspect of like you're done and you actually get to go home and you don't have to kind of comb over everything again. That's one of the things that, as an outsider, I really hadn't thought of it that way, but that's brilliant. I mean, it makes total sense about why it's being used more, honestly, because probably across the board, it could be like that. Marv, you want to take that last question there?
If you have it written down for me, Dominic, I forgot it by now.
I'll tell you a funny story about our turf. So we had just recently we had a couple of things. So we have the double first base now that we'll be using. So you'll see the white one in fair territory and the orange one. And so the company that we used, AstroTurf, they came out recently and they put the holes in the grounds because it's actually two posts that you put in. So even though it's one connected two base, you put it in at the same time, and it's, there's two posts. And if you paid attention to the landscape of, fields being built within the state and regionally, there's a lot of fields that look similar to ours. And so the AstroTurf guy that was a part of the whole process of ours putting ours together, I recently, referenced a couple of fields, and I said they look really familiar. And he said, "Well, I'll tell you that App State has kind of set the standard for what fields need to look like from here on out." And he actually referenced the Savannah Bananas. He said, "Have you seen their new stadium?" So it's interesting that you're asking a question about turf, and funny enough that all the details that we put into our turf back in 2019, 2020. It's funny how it's impacted a few other programs that have gone in and either returfed or gone from scratch and turfed their facility. I feel like we've done a good job of impacting facilities across, again, regionally.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the Savannah Bananas, because that was the last question that we had to kind of have a little fun with.
Yeah, just getting people's opinion on what do you think of banana ball? Do you think it's fun? Do you think it's goofy? Do you think it's good entertainment for the family? And just the engagement that they get from the fans, and maybe bringing fans that had left baseball or never were with baseball and kind of brought them back into the fold. So I guess, do you enjoy it? We'll start with you, Caleb.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's obviously a little bit different than baseball, but for most people that aren't always around baseball can be a little boring to watch. 9 innings, 3 hours plus. But I think banana ball does get you engaged. It gets the fans active, and I think they have a good time just going out and just doing what they want to do on the field and making it enjoyable for people to watch.
How about you, Braxton? What do you think?
I would say I'm just a little old school. I like the baseball that we got now, but I mean it's pretty cool. You scroll through your Instagram, you see these dudes doing between the legs, backflip catches in the outfield, and I mean it's definitely pretty entertaining. I can see how a bunch of people would really enjoy it, and they do. But yeah, I think I like sticking to this kind of ball.
Coach, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think Coach would appreciate the fact that you're trying to go between the legs on routine play there. But Coach, yeah, let's hear your thoughts on it.
This is a really hard game. I'll be honest, the fact that they can do a backflip and catch a ball that's been put in play, or they can do a dance move and twerk and then throw a strike and somehow or another, jump from the left-handed box to the right-handed box and get a hit, even make contact. I'm so impressed that they can do that, because this game it's extremely hard. We work at it all day, and sometimes we still can't throw a strike or hit a ball or field a ball. And I mean, they're out there doing dance moves and doing it. It's so ridiculously impressive. I'm probably just I don't really have an opinion on it. I've never really gone in depth to watch them or what have you. But I am impressed. I guess it would be like watching the Harlem Globetrotters, just to see the immense talent that they have. So it's probably not for me of agreeing with it or disagreeing with it or liking it or not liking it. It's just, I'm ridiculously impressed that they can do those things, and they'll bring in these guys from that used to play in the big leagues or just this name, and they just jump in and do it. It's the easiest thing in the world. And if you've ever stepped in the box and just tried to get a hit off of a slider, just a good slider, it's very difficult to do. I mean, we work at it all day, every day, and it's still difficult to do. And these guys are twerking and doing backflips and somehow still doing it. So regardless of whether I like it, dislike it, whatever, I'm ridiculously impressed that they can play the game of baseball, doing a hula hoop with a ballerina skirt on. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's impressive.
Well said.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Definitely does. Guys, this has been awesome. We really appreciate it. I'm glad Austin got to jump on. It looked like he was having some connectivity issues because he kept kind of jumping in and out. So we didn't really get to add him back. But he was one of our favorites.
He's had connection issues since he's been here. So whether it's the internet or something else, I mean, that's just Austin. So
yeah,
we appreciate you guys.
No doubt that as he had himself labeled, he brings the juice. So he's doing that over there on that West Coast minor league ball he's playing now. And certainly best of luck to you guys. You guys are around the corner here from really getting going. What is it? Queens, right? Is the first matchup there in Hickory, and a regional matchup too. So that's got to be a little fun for that. Probably a lot of people coming to see that one down there in that nice ballpark at LP Franz Stadium. Like we said, really appreciate this open invitation as always to come on later in the season as well. if you get some sweeps over some of these teams, we're definitely going to be reaching out to you guys to, one, congratulate you, and two, to get you back on the show and talk about everything that you've experienced on that a little further. Any last notes that you guys like to share before we get out of here?
Just really appreciate
you guys. Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, looking forward to
This is
seeing you
awesome.
guys get started next week. All three of us here, or I'm alumni. Everybody here went to App. Seth is the unofficial mayor of Boone. So looking forward to seeing you guys get the season started. Hopefully get to catch a couple games this year.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys for having us on. This is great. Thank you for the exposure, and look forward to seeing you guys in the black and gold.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Sunbelt Syndicate.